Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Will with the Padawan Pops YouTube channel and my friend Kevin, and it is episode 3 of the Force with Friends podcast, and we're going over episode 3 of Ahsoka. So, seems appropriate. I think overall, it's been a very good few weeks for Star Wars, and I'm excited to continue this conversation on Ahsoka. So really quickly, we're just going to walk through 4 steps throughout this podcast, and that will be our overall thoughts of the episode, what we liked about it, what we didn't like, and what we think is coming next in Ahsoka. I will say, per the usual, there's a lot more that we did like than we didn't, but going back to our initial thoughts, Kevin, what were your initial thoughts for this?
Yeah, it was another really good episode. I thought it was fun. Obviously, there were a lot of exciting moments to it. I'm really loving Hu Yang. I feel like he's kind of stealing the show at points.
Yeah.
He's really cracking me up. Kind of like a K2, kind of blunt sense of humor, kind of like you mentioned in your other video. Mm-hmm. But I think I was most impressed with just, going into the episode, knowing how short it was. I was really impressed with how much they were able to do in that 30 minutes. I feel like with some of the past Star Wars shows that were half an hour, you feel like just didn't happen. But I think they did a lot to solidify some things and clarify some things and some really good character interactions with all the action we had too. So I was impressed they packed it all into half an hour.
Yeah, just a quick rundown on the episode, because I thought the same thing on how quick it went. As far as the structure of it, like they jumped right in with Sabine and Ahsoka training. I think that's where the episode started, on the starship. Professor Hu Yang was training Sabine. And then, we move into a little bit of the tension with Hera learning that she can't help. So it's just going to be Ahsoka and Sabine. We get into the star fight, right? It's the dog fight between the good guys and the bad guys, and Ahsoka's ship, and then the Morgan Elsbeth's merchants, or whatever you want to call them, mercenaries. And then from there, they win and they land on that planet. We should know that planet name by now. I see it every now and then. It starts with like a D or something like that, right? Or
it's an S.
Maybe it is. It's a planet within a system, but for sure,
we really should at this point.
Yeah, we should probably look that up. But they land on the planet, and then you kind of end with a cliffhanger of like, man, this next episode's going to be pretty big. So I thought for 30, I think it ended up being 31 minutes if you don't count the credits, or 34 minutes or something like that. They did an excellent job streaming the story together and doing it very quickly. It didn't feel like we got shortchanged, I don't think.
No, and I think I feel like it's hard to balance, like when you have a lot of action and kind of set pieces, to sometimes I feel like character interactions can feel kind of crammed in, but they felt very much just kind of an organic part of the episode. So I thought it was really well written for sure.
Yeah, so I'm going to throw this at you. We didn't rehearse this or anything. On a scale of 1 to 10 on your overall thoughts for the episode, what would you give it?
I can't think of anything really major that I had any issues with. So I'd probably give it a 9 just because it wasn't longer, maybe.
Right. That's what I was kind of thinking. Like at worst, it's an 8, but I almost feel bad giving it an 8. I mean, I'd say 8.5, 9, something like that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if I'm comparing it to the rest of the season, it might end up being an 8. I don't know, but I mean, I had no issues with it, and it was a lot of fun. So
I think every episode we've had so far have been 8.5, 9s all the way through. So nothing to complain about. So overall thoughts, we both definitely enjoyed the episode, I believe. I think that's safe to say. So moving forward, we're going to go with what did we like about this episode. So I'll start us off here. I thought there was a lot to like. I'm not going to rehash all of my points from the video I uploaded, but I will drop a link in the description below if you haven't seen it. I really, really enjoyed the pacing of this episode, as far as, like I said, we had 30 minutes. So it really tied a bunch of story points all the way through. So right off the bat, we see Sabine's training. She's inadequate as far as being a Force user goes. She doesn't have the capabilities that everyone else has. They keep hammering that point, and that point is going to be important because eventually she's going to overcome those deficits, I believe. We're kind of getting this underdog story almost out of her. So we tie that along. At the same time, we have Hera going to the New Republic, and we get to see just how incompetent and useless the New Republic is, which that's going to happen. Like, if nothing else, they let the First Order happen. So it's no surprise that they're incompetent at this point in stage in history either. Like, it's just how it is. So we get a little bit of that tension that drives the story forward. We get to the point to where they say, okay, Ahsoka and Sabine are going to have to go at it on their own. We have the tension between Ahsoka and Sabine that we have from the earlier episodes, and we're kind of mending that going forward. You have the action to really bridge the majority of the episode, and then, it kind of seems like the good guys can't win, and somehow they do. Then they leave you with a cliffhanger at the end. I mean, for 30 minutes, I don't think they could have written it better.
No, I agree. I thought it moved quickly, but it never felt like it was juggling too much.
Yeah.
That was one. So just kind of on that same point, one of the things I am liking about the show as a whole is going into it, we felt like there were so many moving parts that we didn't know how they were all going to fit together. But I feel like they've stuck with a few things, at least here at the beginning, that's made it really easy to kind of follow, and it doesn't feel like it's trying to throw in too many plot elements at once, and they can really settle in on these few things, which has been really good, I thought.
Yeah, I agree with that. They've picked their theme, their handful of themes, and they're running with it. You look at other Star Wars shows or movies that we've had, I guess, over the last 11 years since Disney purchased Star Wars, and really you don't see that all together. Like, you see it in Rebels, and that's probably about it. Maybe an Andor too, because like it's in its own little bubble.
Yeah.
But sequel trilogy, that was like a relay race of directors, so you didn't get the same picture. The Mandalorian almost, when you think you figured out where it's going, you don't know where it's going. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but this just seems very honed in right now. And I like that a lot.
Yeah, agreed.
Another thing I liked, not a huge story point or anything, but Jason Syndulla showing up, I thought that was awesome. And Mon Mothma saying, like, I'm sure he's causing trouble with Chopper. I loved that. Just the thought of Chopper running around being mischievous with Hera and Kanan's son. That's just incredible to think.
Yeah, that was a fun moment. And I liked that whole scene. I thought it was good screen time for Hera. I thought it was, because she plays that kind of, she's very reserved, keeps it close to the chest, very, very calm and cool, but she kind of cracks there a little bit. I think it's kind of a reminder of, how close they were, in Rebels. They really were like family. Ezra saw like her son. So I thought it was cool to see that brought in to where, especially if you don't know the character, seeing kind of her break a little bit in that. But yeah, it was fun to see Jason in there. It was cool.
Yeah, I liked that a lot, and he did have green hair. That was the Lego set was just a straight up misdirect. They were lying.
Yep. They got us.
Yeah, they got us. Some guy at the Lego store or the factory just completely dropped the ball there. But yeah, he has green hair, and if that's the biggest drama you have going into a show, you're probably doing okay. If it's the hair of a tertiary character at best.
Yeah. Who shows up for 30 seconds.
Yeah, nice green hair flowing, very much so green. So that was awesome to see. I also liked Marok is how we say his name, I believe. Yeah. So we were butchering it with our southern accents the last couple weeks. But Marok, he's got a cool voice. He's got the little helmet on, and it suppresses his voice. We're pretty sure Sam Witwer is voicing him. Like, are we all in agreement? He keeps showing up in the credits. I mean,
with the voice distortion, it could probably, it could be anybody, but you can hear that kind of deep, clear tone of his. It could very well be him, right? Like he's got a pretty distinct voice.
He does.
So
in episode 2, he grunts.
Does seem to be that way.
Marok grunts in episode 2, and so Sam Witwer is also listed as a voice credit in episode 2.
I saw where he was listed at a credit, but I guess I missed the grunt. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, so it's not like they didn't write down that he's the grunt, but you can run down all the characters, and there's only like one that he could be. So we're pretty sure Sam Witwer is him. But I was messaging in my group chat with a few other content creators that I'm with. Or maybe, no, I commented this on Noah's post. So Rogue Nation, check him out if you haven't seen his channel. He posts a lot of great Star Wars content. I said, it almost seems too easy to figure out that this is Starkiller. Like, okay, Sam Witwer is Starkiller. His name is Marak. Galen Merrick is Starkiller. Yeah. And he's in a voice credit. But would Disney ever give us a reveal that is so easy to find, like just right in front of us? I don't know. I hope it's true, but it seems like it's just way too in plain sight.
Yeah, it does seem. I always feel like the obvious choice can't be the right answer, right? But
especially in Star Wars.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But it does seem, like I wouldn't know where else to even go with putting those pieces together, except that. I mean, that's the only likely conclusion I can come to. So,
yeah, and as far as cool. It would be cool, I'd be okay with it. Yeah. I like when things like from the expanded universe become canon. Because I don't like that the whole expanded universe was wiped. I understand it because it was so big, but let's bring some of the good stuff back in. And I think that's what they're doing, and they've done it in The Mandalorian and other things. So I think it could be. What else did you like?
So I really liked, I mean, you kind of already touched on it, but I liked the no Force Jedi.
Yeah.
I thought it was good to hear her, like, she actually said it. She's like, I can't feel it. I can't use it. So it's not even, we're kind of getting this picture of not even, it's just like, it's very faint for her. Like it doesn't even seem like she even knows how to access it, like how to really reach out to it and feel it. And so, which I love that you doubled down this week on your Salamiri theory, and that
I love it.
I mean, right now it's fallen in your favor. So
it's going to be 2027, and I'm going to be replaying that for the 47 people that watch this stream. I'm going to say, hey, I was right.
So we called it. We called it. So I love that it's going that direction. I actually think it would be really cool if we see if her training kind of shifts to where it's not so much what Ahsoka feels like she needs, but I think it would be cool if she went more into her Mandalorian training.
Yep.
Because they obviously, I mean, more than anybody, they perfected the art of fighting Jedi, right?
Yes.
So they're kind of hunting some Jedi right now. That's who their opponent is. I think it'd be really cool to see her lean into that side of the Mandalorians who really figured out how to fight toe-to-toe with the Jedi. So I think that'd be cool.
I love that she's not Force sensitive. We touched on that in episode 1, like we just weren't sure about it. But that's one of the things I liked about this episode most too, is kind of doubling down on the fact that she's going to have to really do this on her own. It's not like, she's Anakin and can do anything. Yeah. It's the opposite of Rey, if you will. Like Rey shows up on the scene and she's good at everything.
Can do it all. Yeah.
She can fly. She can fight with a lightsaber. She can do Jedi mind tricks. She can do it all. Now it's explained in the fact that she's a Palpatine and she's powerful. Whatever. But. But her biggest issue is her identity, who she is, right? That's her thing she has to overcome. And Sabine knows who she is. Her identity really is more so who she isn't, right? Or her issue is who she isn't. She's not a Jedi. So she's going to have to really fall back on who she is to overcome this. And we kind of see that a little bit later in the episode. Ahsoka says, hey, Sabine, what do we need to do? And you see a very good master-apprentice relationship between the two. Sabine's not Force sensitive, but she's great at, the art of warfare, right? So she's calling the shots on what Ahsoka should be doing at the front of the ship while she's shooting the cannons. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what we're going to have to see out of her, is doing it her own way. And obviously Ahsoka's going to train her and hone her in, but I like the fact that she's not Force sensitive.
Yeah, and that kind of ties into another thing that I really liked. You brought up in your reaction video. You were talking about that comment that Huyang makes to Ahsoka, but just a line of non-traditional Jedi.
Yeah.
And you kind of see it catch Ahsoka off guard, right? She's kind of stops, and you kind of went into it a little bit, going back to Anakin and then Qui-Gon and Dooku, this line of Master and Padawan. And so this is a little bit of a side trip to get where I'm going.
Okay, let's do it. No, let's do it.
I promise. I think I thought it was really cool because I think there's just a lot in that statement, right? Like, because Hu Yang, he represents the Jedi Order's perspective, right? Like, he still has all that programming. You could essentially say he represents the Jedi Order in the way that they viewed things,
right?
So, like the idea that they called them non-traditional, but like the thing they all had in common was they butted heads with the Council for reasons that really weren't bad, right? Like, they saw things that they wanted to fix, like they wanted to do the Jedi thing, right, to be protectors, but the Council's like, well, you can protect people when we say you can protect people, but otherwise we don't want to cause trouble. We don't want to create these situations. And so just these non-traditional Jedi, just there's a lot of resentment there between them and the Council, and looking at how the Council kind of ruled really with fear, right? They were always afraid of the dark side. They were afraid that things were going to go south, and so they tried to keep a lid on everything, right? But pushes Dooku away. Qui-Gon's like, hey, the Sith are back. And Mace is like, nah, probably not. I mean, all they had to do was send a few people. Like, Qui-Gon probably survived, send some more Jedi. And so you just kind of see this pattern of destruction because the Council's just afraid of people going to the dark side, right? And so it ends up they don't trust their people, right? They have no trust in their Jedi to do the right thing. They don't really give them any freedom or leeway to do the right thing. Anakin, they borderline look at as like a weapon that might backfire, right? They don't even look as a person. And so to bring it all back, I love that because it's almost like Ahsoka, she's like, well, I don't need her to be a Jedi. I need her to be herself. But she hasn't really been doing that, right? Like, she's still been pushing to teach her all the Jedi things, train her in all the Jedi ways. And so it's really cool to see her click with that and be like, hey, I'm kind of being pretty hypocritical about this. And it's almost like a really minor course correction of like all the Council did and like kind of ingrained in their Jedi, saying like, you know what, I'm going to let her kind of tell me what she needs here. Like, I'm going to let her be herself, and I'm going to be here to help her, along the way. And we see that work out like great. And so I thought it was just a really cool moment where we kind of see a little bit of a reversal of kind of the sickness that the Jedi Council had spread to all its Jedi. This idea that there's one way to do things, you got to do it a certain way, and if not, it's going to be terrible, right? The dark side's there. It's going to ruin everything. So I thought that it was a very little moment, but I thought there was a lot in there that pointed to the past and then, of course, the future of their relationship. So I really liked that. And I didn't think about it when they first said it until you brought it up in your reaction. And I was like, that's a pretty cool little statement. So
for sure. And really, like, it plays into the whole master and apprentice theme of this entire series or season or whatever it turns out to be. They haven't let go of it. It ties the lineage all the way back, and I don't think they're going to drop it quite yet either. I don't think you just make that statement and then leave it there. So I think we're going to see that theme of the non-traditional, Jedi. We're going to see that weave through, I think, the rest of this season with her training too.
Yeah, and I think they've kind of been developing that, like even in Rebels. We were talking, I guess it was this morning. Was it this morning?
Yeah, it was this morning, yeah.
About how it's kind of cool because there's kind of like this line drawn now that the Council's gone, like these people trying to figure out what it actually looks like to be a master and apprentice. Like, so with Kanan and Ezra, and now with Ahsoka and Sabine, and kind of figuring out that there's a very, very much a better way to go about this Jedi thing than what they thought was the only way, right? And so it's cool to kind of see it separated now and just kind of people being lost in it, but also kind of figuring out a way that makes a lot more sense.
So I have two last things I liked. I'll move through them really quickly. One, live action Purrgil, that was awesome. I'm sure you probably agree there. There's not too much to say about it other than just, we got to see them. But two, that cliffhanger at the end of the episode where Baylan is just there and he was like, find the Jedi. And so he sends them out to find her, setting us up for this next episode. And Baylan is so conflicted. You can just tell. Like, because he says in one of the first two episodes, it would be a shame, to see her die or something along those lines because there aren't many left. And I'm not completely sure how Baylan's story is going to play out, but he's not just ultimately bad. Like, he's a great bad guy, but he's still got some Jedi in him, right? So he almost, you can see that conflicted nature that he has with this whole situation. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. Obviously, they're going to fight the next episode, but how does it turn out at the end of this season? I'm interested to see.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if he's just a type of character who, was all in, right? He was part of the Jedi, believed it was the right thing, but I mean, gosh, when what goes down, right? You got Vader hunting down all the Jedi in the galaxy. At some point, you got to imagine some people are like, I'm done, right? And he seems like he just kind of stepped away from it, right? Now he does what he needs to do to get his jobs done, to get paid. But you're right, man. He's a really interesting character, and I'm hoping this episode we get to see a lot of him and a lot more interaction with him, because he's really interesting, and I do want to learn a little bit more about what's going on in his head. So
for sure. Anything else you liked that you want to touch on before we move forward?
Yeah, so I guess it was last episode. I did have my complaint about the star map, right? Like
you did, yes, you did.
It was just perfect. They're halfway there for me, right? They did at least explain why there's a map to this galaxy, right? They talked about the Purgle and the migration stuff. So I like that they're at least saying, hey, this map exists for a reason, right? We're establishing that. Now, I still want to know why they automatically know it leads to where Thrawn is. That still bothers me a little,
and we essentially know that the Jedi knew about it. Like Professor Hu Yang says that
these intergalactic lanes,
so they're getting you there. I bet by episode 6 you are settled in on this. Maybe we'll see. Yeah. So this was a good episode. There was a lot we liked. I'm sure there's probably even more than that, but speed running through this, it was a great episode. So I think it was good. I liked most of it. So next, as we see, we're going to be moving into what did we not like, and I will just say I did not like the Ahsoka spacewalk scene. Not that it wasn't cool. It was cool looking. She's in a spacesuit. It looked really neat. They're shooting at her. She's deflecting, starfighter laser cannons with her lightsaber, which me and you did discuss off camera. That is within canon because Kanan does it in Rebels. Yep. But logically, okay, she's out there, she's doing a distraction for Sabine to get the ship back up. I get that completely. What I don't get is why the bad guys, there was 4 or 5 ships. Why did all 5 of them not just start shooting their ship that was floating in space doing nothing?
Dead in the water.
Obviously, there's 4 more episodes or 5 more episodes that they've got to do. Why. So, you can't kill everybody in the 3rd episode, so you don't put that scene in there. You find another way to build tension. I didn't like it. And then the little flip she does to cut one of the wings, that was straight out of episode 9, which is
it's very Rey. Yeah.
Probably my least favorite Star Wars movie, episode 9 is. So that
you don't like it when things make you think about that, do you?
That probably isn't helping me on this, but it's just I get it. Logic is thrown out with Star Wars. We have explosions in space. Luke kisses his sister. There's no logic, right? But we didn't need this.
I actually couldn't get past that helmet. There's no way you're telling me she put that helmet on in 30 seconds.
The Buzz Lightyear helmet.
I mean, that thing covered all of her head, including her head tails. There's no that thing took her 10 minutes to put on. It was an impressive helmet, but there's no way she just slipped that thing on and jumped out in space. So
it almost looked like a Dragon Ball Z outfit too, the Vegeta, the blue almost.
It was just kind of. I don't feel like it really added anything to the episode. It's not something where I'm like, oh, that was terrible. But it was just kind of it was 60 seconds of filler, right? So that Sabine could get the ship back up and running.
Yeah, I understand the plot device of it. I just think I don't know. But maybe they have such blind rage at Ahsoka they had to shoot at her versus blowing up the ship that would have.
We'll go with that. Her. It's a pride thing.
Yeah. So I don't know.
They're too proud just to blow up the ship.
Yeah, we both put the episode at an 8.5, 9 out of 10. So we are both fully on board with this episode. That scene it didn't add to it. I don't think it took away either. It served its plot device or whatever they were going for. I could have lived without it. It's not going to make me dislike the episode or the series because we've seen this in canon before. It's not out of the scope. It's just, it was a lot.
It's just kind of a throwaway moment that could have done without. I did right before that, though, I did kind of like Shin's jab at Morgan. It doesn't seem like they get along too well.
Yeah, where she's congratulations, you almost got her.
Morgan seems a little bit annoyed by that. It doesn't seem like they get along very well.
Yeah. So the don't like section, very short, which is how we want to keep it that way. In the comments, though, I'm interested to know, did you or did you not like the spacewalk scene? I don't care one way or the other. I'm just interested in what the consensus of Star Wars fans are on this in general. Drop that in the comments. Did you like the spacewalk? Did you not like the spacewalk? So, moving to our last topic, what do we think is coming next, both immediately in this 4th episode and then as a whole for the rest of the season? Because the 4th episode will get us to the halfway point. Odds are the 4th episode will also get us where we have no more footage from the trailers. We're nearly there. I saw a reel today that was kind of going over that. Yeah, so we're almost done with what we have from the trailers. So immediate 4th episode, what are we getting?
I would be disappointed if we're not going right into this this hunt for Ahsoka and Sabine. I feel like that's how we need to kick it off. I would like a solid episode of them in contest with Baylan and his guys. I mean, how it'll end, I think this is going to be a pretty exciting episode that'll maybe lead into a lull. Not a lull as in like boring, but kind of things simmering back down, some more character interactions type stuff.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised if we see our crew of bad guys successfully get through the hyperspace ring and kind of leave our good guys scratching their heads as what to do next. And so I can see that happening. You know, as for the rest of the show, honestly, I'm scratching my head because I'm kind of having to reevaluate everything now that I'm seeing that the show is much more focused, right? They're not just throwing all these things in at one time to try to juggle them, which I like, right? So if this is the direction the show goes, I'm super happy with keeping some of this stuff till the 2nd season because I think they're doing a really good job of using what they're doing right now and just focusing on it. So I think there's going to be less going on than I first thought for the rest of the season, but not in a bad way, just in a way that's really going to do justice to everything else they're trying to balance with some of these characters, and it'll allow some time to really develop some of these storylines in a cool way. So that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, I don't think there is any direction for this next episode to go outside of all the footage we've seen from the trailer where they're fighting on this planet. So we know from a few different trailers, Sabine is going to fight Shin again. Ahsoka is fighting Marok at the same time. So that does go down. It's on this planet. We know that. We also know Ahsoka is fighting Baylan because we see that in one of the trailers. Her and Baylan have a conversation and Baylan's bringing up Anakin. I'm expecting that to be in this next episode. That's really, the runtime is 41 minutes, I believe is what I read. So about 7-8 minutes longer than this past one. That's going to be the main focus of the episode. I still think we get maybe like some cut scenes to Hera dealing with the New Republic. It would be strange to me if we didn't get to her scheme because she's not just going to quit.
You got to imagine she'll stick through the rest of the story. So
if it doesn't happen in this next episode, I think we'll see it in 5 or 6, just my opinion. I haven't seen or read this anywhere, but if we're going to get Zeb, if we're going to get Callus, it's this next episode, or 5 or 6, the next 3. I could see it being where Hera's going off like, hey, we're going against the main, rules. We've got to go help our friends. I think we could see that. Not 100% sure, but if nothing else, I think we see Hera still dealing with the New Republic or figuring out what her plan is. But that will be minimal for this episode. The main focus will be on Ahsoka, Sabine, Shin, Baylan, and Marok. And I agree with you. I think we're going to see the bad guys making the jump first, and then the good guys having to figure out how do we get there.
Which you and I talked about this today. Like, what are they traveling in? Right. I mean, we haven't seen their ship. Like, I'm sure they're not just all going in starfighters. Like, I'm curious as to what ship they're planning to take. I want like a really cool ship to appear.
There's a little bit of question around Morgan Elsbeth's ship there. I'm assuming we may figure that out the next.
I'm assuming they're not going to be riding a Purgle. So
no, they're going to be in that gold-plated cockpit with the Purgle in the middle of that thing. So I'll be interested to see how that goes for sure. And then as a whole, where's the series going? I'm a little perplexed as well because it's been laser focused up to this point in episode 4, almost as if we're going to have 2 arcs to the season. Everything's pretty well focused here. It's crazy we're almost halfway through, but for 5 through 8, there's a lot that has to happen. We have to get Anakin in some shape, form, or fashion. We're anticipating the World Between Worlds to play some role in this show. I suppose it couldn't, but the reports are that it does. And that's how we're going to see Anakin in some capacity. Then, obviously, they have to get to that next galaxy. Maybe they don't in this season, but I think that would be strange. So I'm just not sure where the 4 episodes, what's going to be going down.
Yeah.
I like the mystery of it, but I'm just not sure where it's going.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much exactly where I'm at. What I'm hoping is that the kind of like you said, it seems like it's going to be kind of split into these 2 arcs, right? We have this first arc that's leading up to this big battle, and then the second arc may end up being a little bit more heavy on the kind of the character interactions and really leaning into that Master Padawan theme we've been talking about. I'm hoping that if what happens is the bad guys jump through, that's just not it, right? I hope we get to see what's going on the other side in the last, assuming that's what happens, right? I'd hate to go the next 4 episodes after this if that's what happens and we don't see him anymore. So I don't know.
That won't happen.
I would hope not.
Yeah, that won't happen.
So, man, I don't know.
I don't know that Marok survives the next episode either.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's gonna make it because Shin, she's valuable to the story, right? Her and Balin. Marok's kind of the odd man out. So
the faceless one.
R.I.P. Sam Witwer. It may be over for him.
Yeah.
So I just don't know. I love that we don't know because it makes it exciting. And also we know we're going to see Thrawn, like we've seen him in the trailer. So
that's true.
At some point we got to see
even if that's literally the only scene we see in the season.
We're going to see him.
We will see him, so.
Yeah, so maybe he does play a bigger focus in the next 4 episodes. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy the fact that we don't necessarily know what's next. Like, very clear what's immediately in front of us. Not clear at all what is on the horizon. So that's a good place to be as far as, episodic TV, having to wait each week on the edge of your seat. I love it.
Are we seeing Anakin in episode 5?
At a minimum, we're going to hear him. So I do have a video on this as well. So episode 5, Dave's directing it. It's going to be a good episode. Yep. Then that Friday after, there's a special coming out on Disney Plus highlighting the master and apprentice relationship throughout Star Wars. It's going to give a deeper dive into Ahsoka, I believe is the point. I would be hard-pressed to say that we will not have a Hayden sighting, at a minimum, his voice in episode 5. I think it could be a flashback or something along those lines. I think episode 5 we for sure see him, and then maybe again later on.
Yeah, and if episode 4 goes the way we think it will, I mean, that would be the perfect time for it, right? As there's kind of a lull and our heroes are kind of taken aback and kind of recalculating what's next. I feel like that would be the time to kind of have some of those moments. So
I'm excited for it, whichever way it goes. I think we're in good hands with this series just because, I mean, it is laser focused. So that will be a wrap on today's episode. This was a lot of fun discussing good Star Wars content. Like, man, what a place to be when we can talk good Star Wars content each week. Yeah, it's the best.
That's been one of the coolest things about this show is it's as interesting as all of it. It's good Star Wars, and so for a couple of Star Wars guys like us, this is like
it's perfect.
It's like field day. It's great.
and we get it 5 more weeks after this. So. Per the usual, we will watch the next episode 4, next Tuesday. We will discuss, and episode 4 of The Force with Friends will be ready to release the Friday following. Thank you guys for watching. If you are enjoying this content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video for more Star Wars content daily. And as always, may the Force be with you.